Hello and welcome back to another episode of Can You Fix It? The show where we look at a lot of common, simple home repairs out there that most people in America can perform, and I've discovered in my time that most people just simply lack the self-confidence to undertake some of these things. And today's going to be a great example. We're at a house here in the northwest of Tallahassee, and we're looking at a bathroom today that the resident, the owner, has recently updated. They've new paint and tile and vanity and nice beautiful granite top on the vanity and stuff. And they've got to this point, and she did all this on her own, and very nice job, very well done. And then she came up against this. If you look, you can see with the new doors and the trim, everything in this room was done stark white. But the original trim package in this house called for bone light switches, bone colored light switches, ivory light switches. So having updated this room and everything, she now would like to have the light switches to match the trim. And at first she was going to call an electrician and have an electrician come in here because she was obviously not sure about this. Well, we're gonna look at this today, and we're gonna replace these two switches. And what I intend to do with this little demonstration today is I want to show you that how simple this truly is, and how that any homeowner can make this repair if you take your time, think it through, and be safe. I mean, it's electricity, obviously, let's shut it off, right? So that's where we're gonna start at. I'm gonna go shut the breaker off to this room. I've got my electric meter here. We're gonna come back and we'll double check and make sure the power is off. And then we're gonna remove both of these light switches. And there's nothing wrong with these switches, by the way, okay? She's doing this because she's updated the look of the room, and she would like the whole package. She wants the whole package. She wants everything to look right. So she wants white light switches and covers. And GFCI, we'll do a little video a little bit later on replacing a GFCI. Again, it's something every homeowner, I believe, with the confidence can achieve this, no problem. So let's go to the breaker and we'll be right back. Okay, so since these switches are so small, we're gonna do this video up close. And so I'll just narrate my way through this, which is probably just as well, so you got to actually see the minute detail in here. I want you to be able to feel comfortable when you do this. So before we start, I want you to just look at the new switch we're putting in. Many of you have probably heard me say it, green is ground the world around. Wow, look, there's a green screw on the side of this switch. Strange, right? But there it is. Okay, and then I want you to look at these two screws over here. Look. We have a brass colored screw and a brass colored screw. Okay, I just want you to remember that these are kind of brassy colored. And the reason is on a receptacle, you would have a brass set of screws, and then on the other side, they'd be shiny screws. And we'll go over that when we do a receptacle, and I'll show you why that is. But I want you to notice two brassy colored screws. The other thing I want you to see is on the back side here, right where these screws are at, you see up above, you see that little hole? And that little hole right there. Okay, so these little holes basically make the same connection that these two screws do. And you may say to yourself, well, Dan, why do they have two different ways of doing it? Why don't we just strip the wire and stab it in there and be done? Okay, in my opinion, I don't believe that connection is a good connection. This design is for construction, new construction, so basically so they can do it quick. They don't have to wrap the wire around each screw and tighten it down. They just strip the wire, stub it in the back, and call it done. Is that a good connection? Nah. Some people say it's okay. Me? Nope. I want you to wrap them wires around that screw clockwise, so that as you tighten the screw, you're not spinning the wire off the screw, you're pulling it down around, right? So you want to hook that wire around the screw, and I want you to tighten it down on the screws. I don't want you to use these. I don't think this is new construction. This is down and dirty. I'm in a hurry. And that's, you know, we're not building houses here. We're taking care of our own. So I don't want you to use these. That's not for us. These screws on the side, that's for us. Okay. So we're going to take one of these switches out, and I want you to notice the lights are out in here already, but let's just go ahead, since we've got our electric meter with us and we want to be safe, and we know the power is off here because I actually had the lights on when I went out and shut the breaker off, right? So now the lights aren't on, so we know the power's off, but I just think better safe than sorry, right? Especially if you're trying to teach somebody else how to do it, let's do it the right way, okay? So if you come in on one of these, and I want you to notice the ends of these probes, they're insulated all the way to the end. There's a reason for that, because I'm gonna be touching what potentially could be a hot screw, and because I'm reaching into someplace tight, I mean, I could arc that off a bare ground wire, I could arc that off the side of the switch. And remember, we got our ground wire, so we know this switch is grounded. So if I arced from the hot lug to the side of the switch, crack! There'd be an arc of lightning right there and trip the breaker, okay? So that's the reason why we want probes insulated all the way to the tips. But as we measure for voltage now, let's take our black lug, our black lead, and go right up on that ground lug. And then we want to go to the bottom screw on the switch, because that's where the power comes into the switch at. And you can see I don't have any voltage there. Now, just because we don't know who hooked this switch up, it's possible to wire that with the hot on the top of the switch and the feed coming out the bottom. Shouldn't be, but it's possible. So let's go ahead while we got it here. Let's just double check and make sure. Nope, it's dead. Okay, no power there. Well, they're fed from the same circuit, but folks, unless you were the person who wired this the first time, man, you better check. That's all I can say. It's worth it. Okay, so we've got no power there, and that's excellent. So let's go ahead and pull our switches out. And you can do this with a screwdriver, or you can do this with a drill. I'm using a drill for expedience. The only thing I'll tell you about using a drill is these screws are very soft, and you will strip that out very easily. So if that screw isn't turning nice and easy just like that, you better stop, or you may create yourself a problem. And the other thing I'll show you is, and again, I'm a former air conditioning mechanic, not an electrician, but I know a little bit. I want you to look here at the end of this screw, and you can see how it takes a flat bladed screwdriver, or it'll take a Phillips tip, but ideally a little square torque tip is what electricians will most often use. Why? Because that has almost zero chance of him stripping this screw out. It's not going to lift out, it's not going to skip or anything. Once you use a torque tip, you're strip proof. Again, not 100% necessary, but if you ever watch an actual electrician do it, you'll 9 times out of 10 see that he has a torque tip. Okay, we got our wires loose, our switches loose. So let's take them and pull them straight out to you, okay? Straight out to you. All right, now, look. Again, I'm gonna go back to our new switch and see what we got here, all right? So, two screws, 2 wires, bare copper, green ground, right? And green is ground the world around. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward, folks. You really shouldn't be able to mess this up. Again, it is very easy, very possible that you can flip these wires and you'll never know the difference. I recommend that you land the hot wire on the off side of the switch on the bottom. Just simply because any electrician who comes and works in your box or in one of these and looks at this, he's going to expect that the hot leg is on the bottom of the switch. So let's take and pull these wires off. Now I want you to look here. You see this guy's made the connections on the side of with the screws. Pretty cool, right? Whoever did this electrical job for this remodel, he didn't shortcut. This actually takes a little bit longer time than just randomly strip that wire and stab it in the back. And look, he had it as an option. He coulda, but he didn't. Why? He wanted a good connection. He didn't want to get called back here in 6 months saying my bathroom light suddenly quit working. I don't know why. And he comes here and made the trip all the way to this house and tore this all open to find out that there's a bad oxidized connection down in there. You know, he didn't want that problem. So what'd he do? He did it right the first time. And that's what I want you to do, so that this isn't a headache for you later. You know, if you do it this way, at the end of the project, when you flip this switch and the light comes on, you'll never come back and look at it again. Okay? Boom, that easy, that switch is out, gone. Now we're just gonna reverse the process, all right? The one thing you'll wanna notice on this switch as opposed to the other one is grounding lug's on the opposite side, ain't it? Grounding lug was over here, and our taps were over here. This switch is just reversed, that's all. Different manufacturer. It absolutely does not matter, okay? Green is still ground the world around. I want you to notice the way that wire is hooked and ran in a clockwise curve. And if you look, as you tighten down on that, which way are you turning that screw? Clockwise. So the chances of that wire squeezing out from under that screw is almost zero, isn't it? Okay? We're gonna roll that over. Truly, this electrician who did this job truly made my life super simple on this. And when I'm done, I will show Miss Abby just how simple this would have been. And you know, again, I'm not knocking the electricians. You absolutely, if you're not comfortable in taking this on, then I absolutely would want you to call an electrician. If you don't, if this seems more than you're ready for, don't call the electrician, because he's a professional. He does this for a living, and you know, he might have to take some time away from a new construction job or something like that to come do this, and he's going to charge you accordingly. I mean, the man's in it to make money. He's got bills to pay. He's got a wife and kids. Okay? All right, real quick, we're going to pull this other one off. I want you to notice how I'm manipulating this wire, and I'm bending this wire to what where I want it to be to make it tight on these switch screws. This is solid copper wire. It is 12 gauge conductor, which means it'll handle up to a 20 amp circuit. Okay. Gone. New. Ground wire, counterclockwise. And you ain't got to over crank these, but you want these connections tight. Any little sloppiness will allow an arc of electricity. And that little arc of electricity will start oxidizing the surface of the copper. And before long, you won't have a connection any longer. That oxidation, that burnt copper between the contacts will actually impede the electricity and stop the flow, and all of a sudden your light switch won't work, and you'll be thinking, well, what happened? Well, that's what it is. This okay. Again, snug them up pretty good. They ain't gotta be cranked on He-Man style, but you don't want them the slightest bit sloppy. A tight connection's a good connection. You won't have any arcing. No arcing means no trouble later. That's what we want, no trouble later. Okay, look at that. Okay, now these wires, you want to fold them back into this box, all right? Just kind of get your screws lined up with your holes. Okay. Again, remember, soft metal. These can strip out pretty easy if you're not careful. You don't want that mess. Okay. So if it starts skipping off the screw, you stop right away and get it lined back up. Now you don't want to tighten these all the way down. These need a little bit of movement in them because that plate has to go and they have to line up on them slots. So tighten them up, but not to where they won't move at all. Okay? Yeah, I like that. Okay? Pretty tight, but not sloppy. We don't want them sloppy in there. Okay. Alright, and there's our light switch light switches. So the last thing to do is put a new cover on it, right? New updated cover, all in white. And this will give her bathroom that nice, clean, finished look. And it's pretty much exactly what she's been going for. I do want to warn you, these screws come and they're painted, so it's not like you can just randomly replace them with something else. So you want to be careful. Don't drop these little things. They're small, and if you drop them in the wrong place, getting them back can be fun. On the other side of that coin, though, they're dirt cheap. So I mean, if you had to go buy a switch just to get a screw, you probably would be all right. Okay, so remember we wanted these things to be able to move around a little bit in here, and this is why. We want that to line up each one. Okay. Now, on this part, I do not recommend, I've seen guys do it. I do not recommend that you ever put these screws in or take them out with a drill. These screws are finish, they're painted. You want them to stay looking nice because this is what everybody sees, right? So I don't recommend ever doing anything but using your hands. The human hand has such a much better feel of the world. And look, I want you to also notice the screw heads, the slots are lined up. That's generally a sign from the last guy who was in this to the next guy that might open this up. If an electrician came here right now and he's seen that, he would have a pretty good feeling about opening this box up, because internally he would be saying, okay, the last guy here, he just sent me a signal. And that signal is hey buddy, I got half a clue at least. Okay? So anyway, here we are. New light switches. Last thing to do is go flip that breaker on, right? All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we got the breaker on. One last thing to do. Look at there. Okay, folks, that's it. Light switches installed, working well. New white covers to match the trim. It's mission accomplished. So if you like this video and you'd like to see more of them, please hit the subscribe button so you get the notification when I drop a new one. And I'm constantly working on little things like this that average homeowners, you know, once you take the magic out of it and the mystery, most homeowners can do these repairs. And if you found this particular video to be helpful, and this is something that, please, absolutely, push the like button, and we'll get some more of this and get it online for you. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.